I serve a power greater than yours. You are hollow, Sigismund. You'll never beat me again.
Welcome to Fightmaster, the show where we analyze the galaxy's greatest warriors and break down their most iconic duels. My name is Precognition. I'm still recovering from bronchitis, but I couldn't wait, not for this one. Today, we're looking at a duel that took place during the final days of the Horus Heresy, a clash of icons as the traitor legions assaulted the Lionsgate spaceport upon Terra. There are so many things that make this a special contest. It's a duel between former training partners, a duel of similar styles, a duel between legends. Today, we are breaking down the first fight between the Master of Templars and first Captain of the Imperial Fists, the man they would one day call the Emperor's Champion, Sigismund, against the Lord of the Eightfold Path, Herald of the War God, 8th Captain Kharn of the World Eaters. Not yet armed with the famed Black Sword, and not yet having fully completed his own signature fighting style, Sigismund was still an unbelievably formidable opponent, famed for his speed, accuracy, and relentlessness. The first captain of the Imperial Fists is a difficult warrior to define. Thankfully, I've done a lot of research on both combatants for previous videos, which helps, but it's still tricky. Against most foes, Sigismund does not defend in the traditional sense. Rather, he constantly attacks down avenues he predicts his foe will attack down. To clarify, he doesn't so much parry as rain blows down on his foe in such a manner that should they be attacking as well, his blade will intercept the strike before it builds enough momentum to threaten him. This may sound a little bit insane, and it is. But Sigismund is perhaps the fastest space marine ever to have lived. Under this relentless assault, most enemies crumble as their own attacks are stopped before they gain much power, and they're forced to focus more and more on defense, lest the Templar simply hack them apart. Renowned as the best duelist among the legions, Sigismund can employ many different styles, of course, and should his relentless aggression fail, he's frequently known to switch to what we call a stick and move style. This is fairly self-explanatory. The fighter uses their footwork to avoid the enemy's attacks until they identify an optimal situation to stand their ground, and launch one or several fast attacks, before once more either retreating or cutting an angle. This being when a fighter steps to the side or around their opponent, in particular while they're still dealing with the attack the fighter has launched. Sigismund's reflexes and near supernatural ability to predict his enemy's movements make these two styles a nightmare for any opponent, especially as he can switch between the two instantaneously. Kharn the Betrayer, on the other hand, employs one style, and there is no possibility of him ever changing it. As I discussed in the first ever video on this channel, Kharn is a slugger. I know how that sounds, but it's not an insult. The slugger is a legitimate fighting style, and one Kharn maybe stands at the very pinnacle of. A slugger seeks to end their opponent with a single devastating blow, and everything they do in a duel is in service of this goal. Combinations thrown by the slugger are intended to create openings for this killing shot. Parries are heavy, intended to create large openings by smashing enemy weapons fully aside. Vast majority of the attacks thrown by Kharn are massive heavy swings with his chain axe, Gore Child. While this might seem lumbering, it serves an important purpose. If all of Kharn's attacks appear to be killing blows, his opponents must respect all of these attacks equally. Even if the slugger doesn't truly expect them all to land, his foe will find counterattacking or gauging Kharn's intention very difficult. This means only the most observant or fastest of enemies have a chance to keep themselves off the back foot. On top of this, the strength granted to Kharn by Khorne, the chaotic god of war, means that even if one does block Kharn's attacks, they risk being battered to the ground, or even having their weapon broken. Leading a force of World Eaters in support of the Iron Warrior assault on the enormous Lion's Gate spaceport, Kharn was excited to see the personal banner of his former training partner, Sigismund. The berserk rage of the Butcher's nails forcing him on, Kharn broke from his allies and sprinted towards the Imperial fists in a headlong rush. Employing his supernatural strength and agility, Kharn leapt into the air, twisting like a cat to behead a pair of loyalist space marines before landing behind their line in front of Sigismund. A stunning, if not strategically sound, display of athleticism. Ordering his warriors not to gun Kharn down, Sigismund moved forward to engage the World Eater, who had begun charging directly at him the moment his jump landed. While he had wished to face Abaddon, Sigismund was pleased to encounter such a famous enemy champion, even one he used to consider a friend. In some ways, that was better, as he knew Kharn's tendencies and tricks in advance. While yes, it was true, Kharn knew him as well, the World Eater did not have Sigismund's talent, and would find exploiting that information much more difficult. Slamming his power sword into Kharn's chain axe, Sigismund instantly knew he would have to reevaluate his assessment of the World Eater. Kharn had always been strong, but this was strength beyond mere genetic engineering. It was all the Imperial Fist could do to keep his balance steady as he was sent staggering backwards. The blessings of chaos had brought Kharn to a new level of lethality. Now, you may be thinking to yourself that even with the disparity in strength, when a chain weapon meets a power weapon, the chain blade should come off second best. And you would be right, but Kharn's axe Gorechild is not an ordinary chain weapon. Rather, a massive blade designed for a Primarch, boasting mica dragon teeth rather than simple metal blades. And while it will eventually lose out to a power weapon, the axe's bulk and superior construction means it can go through dozens, perhaps hundreds of such clashes before a significant loss in effectiveness. Loosening the grip on his sword, Sigismund instantly switched to his stick-and-move style. Rather than meeting Kharn's blows head-on, he focused on well-timed parries to send them slightly off course, while also spinning and dodging his body and slipping away from the constant barrage. Despite being on the defensive, Sigismund is just as dangerous. First blood of the duel being drawn as the tip of the Templar's power blade sliced across Kharn's chest. Confidence rising, Sigismund felt he had the World Eater's measure once more. Predicting a parry from his former training partner, the Imperial Fist used the momentum to redirect his own attack into Kharn's upper body. Realizing the trick, Kharn surged into the attack, robbing of its chance to build force. This also left Sigismund open to a counterattack, but rather than make the most of the opportunity, Kharn delivered a glancing blow to Sigismund's arm in order to destroy the chain the Imperial Fist wore, attaching his sword to his armor, a symbolic strike against the World Eater's former friend. Never one to stand on ceremony, First Captain Sigismund thought it a rather stupid move, countering the glancing shot with a brutal two-handed swing into Kharn's stomach, drawing yet more traitor blood. But the Herald of Khorne did not seem to care. Rather than stumble back or acknowledge the injury in any way, Kharn brought his axe down in a killing arc that Sigismund only barely managed to defend. Somehow, Kharn's strength had increased again, and he battered the Imperial Fist down to one knee. Sigismund watched in horror as Kharn's armor bent and buckled, his muscles growing on the spot, Khorne's power flowing through his chosen one. Attacking once more, Kharn clipped Sigismund on the thigh, the mica dragon teeth biting deep into the Templar's leg. While the Imperial Fist had managed to avoid most of the attack, he was injured and he knew he was beaten. Kharn was no longer a mere legionary, no longer fought for his own personal glory. The World Eater had become a conduit for something greater. Sigismund was perhaps the greatest swordsman alive, but he was still only a space marine. Kharn could draw upon etheric powers to bolster his speed, strength, durability, and more besides. Perhaps, Sigismund thought, he could do the same, as the Saint Keeler had suggested, become a conduit for the power of the Emperor, fight for and as something greater than his mere mortal form. Sadly, it was too late to find out, as Kharn was mere moments from killing him. Or would have been, had not the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, the Praetorian of Terror, and Sigismund's own gene-father, Rogel Dawn, not intervened. Plummeting to Earth from a hovering transport like a superhero, Dawn intercepted Kharn, and with a single blow sent him flying dozens of feet in the air. Ordering a fighting retreat, the Primarch did his best to save Imperial lives he felt the egotistical Sigismund had been in the midst of wasting. The first captain of the Imperial Fists sullenly boarded the transport, his injuries all but forgotten in the face of his shame. Not only had he lost the duel, leaving Kharn to rampage through his line, he had lost the battle. But more than that, he had failed in his stated mission to slay the champions of the enemy, a task he was supposed to be extremely well suited to. But he was alive, and he had left this battlefield changed. Sigismund could not continue as he had been. He needed to transform himself, just as his foes had transformed themselves. He had to become something greater, a true champion of the Emperor. This has been Fightmaster. My name is Precognition. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're looking forward to the rematch of the millennium.